YouTube channel. I'm Ashish Bhargav, and I hope you guys are doing well. And how was your weekend? Please let me know. I hope you enjoyed a lot. And again, we are the daily news analysis from Monday to Friday, 11:30 a.m. So, this day is very important because we have covered. So here is a Friday. So Friday we have taken the session already. So in this class we had already in Friday that we had already taken classes. So here this class is just for a second, guys. Hello everyone, welcome to PRATHAM Test Prep. I am Ashish Bhargav. So I hope you enjoyed a lot in this weekend. So we have taken classes from Monday to Friday at 11:30 a.m. and after Friday. So this class is important for one who is preparing for CUET, one who is preparing for AILET exam, one who is preparing for CLAT exam. So in this daily news analysis, we have discussed lots of articles that is based on international relation IR, international relation, and one more thing that we have to understand, we need to understand, like why the newspaper is important, because the reason behind that we are covering the newspaper from so guys, there was a kind of network glitch, so that's why the session was interrupted. So as I told you, the newspaper analysis, we discussed about the international relation, we discussed about map questions also, we discussed about lots of things and having with the previous year questions. So the everyone who is watching this YouTube session, please share to each and everyone so that the maximum number of students can get benefited. So again, the capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is a skill, the willingness to learn is a choice. And the Nelson Mandela Great Quote is education, the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So as you know that we have taken initiative to ask the questions of the day, so that we will discuss hardly 3 to 5 questions that would be totally based on the Indian Express and the Hindu. So the students have in such kind of temperament, so they will solve the questions. Gradually you will see the improvement, and you have a good command over the current affairs questions as well as the Hindu, Indian Express and different newspaper sources. So here the first article, India-China troops disengage at LAC friction point and Ladakh. So here the 2 points we need to understand. So here it is the pullback from the patrolling point 15 and Gogra hot spring area. So in map we need to see the what is the importance of these two areas. What is the importance of these two areas? Where these areas is exactly located, and what is the rule of Indian government? Because India and China recently announced that their armies have begun to disengage from patrolling point 15, the Gogra hot spring area of eastern Ladakh. So that is a part of Gogra hot spring. If your exam, they will directly ask you, sometimes Gogra hot spring, Gogra hot springs, sometimes in the news, in which part of the Ladakh? Near Galwan Valley. If the option would be here, eastern Ladakh, western Ladakh, northwest Ladakh, so answer will be here, eastern Ladakh. So what is the role of the move comes ahead of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summits in Uzbekistan? So recently there was a meeting of SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We have already discussed SCO. So in SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organizations, as we can see, the recently held in Uzbekistan, then the decision has been taken. So what is the role of Indian government? So recently Indian and Chinese troops have begun disengaging the patrolling pillar 15, PP15 and Gogra hot spring. So as we know that, we are key highlightings about the current disengagement. India and China's army disengaged from patrolling point 15 and Gogra hot spring area of eastern Ladakh. So make sure the area is the eastern Ladakh, the area of the eastern Ladakh, making a step forward to understand of ongoing since 2020. So this is part of PP15 is line of actual control. As I told you, the LAC is a border of India and China, and one is LOC, which is the border of India and line of actual control, line of control. So line of control is the border of India and Pakistan, and line of actual control is a buffer zone, which means that simply and lucid language we can easily understand. Like here is the border of one country, here is the border of another country. The area which is nowhere having the army of Indian and nowhere army of Pakistan army or some other country's armies, and that area can be considered as a buffer zone. So that buffer zone is known to be as a line of actual control. The disengage has begun in coordinated and planned way, which is conducive to peace and tranquility in the border areas. So buffer zone, as I told you, is to be created, and then the 16th round of India-China Corps Commander level meeting has been done, and the Chushul border personal meeting point at Indian sites since the standoff began in May 2020. So what we need to know about the hot spring and Gogra post, as I told you, the location, because there's a certain things that we need to keep an eye, like news, places in the news, and because if the places is most of the time in the news, they will likely ask you the exactly location and what is the importance of that particular part. So hot spring is just north of the Chamno river. The river name need to learn, and Gogra post is the eastern point, but the eastern part of Ladakh it is located, where the river takes a hairpin bend coming southeast from the Galwan Valley. So as we know that there is a part of Galwan Valley, sometimes China assumed to be a part of sovereignty of China, and Indian government also claiming this. So area is north of the Karakoram range of the mountains, which lies north of the Pangong So Lake and southeast of Galwan Valley. What is the importance of this area? This area lies close to the Kongka Pass. Kongka Pass, which is the main pass which according to China marks the boundary between India and China. Make sure Kongka Pass, China consider itself is the border of India and China. India claim of the international boundary lies significantly east, include the entire Aksai Chin area. So Aksai Chin area is, as I told you earlier in the YouTube session, Aksai Chin area sometimes it is disputed, which means that is China claiming that this part is own and Indian government is doing the same. So How hot springs and Gogora Post are close to the boundary between the two of the most historical disturbed province, Xinjiang and Tibet of China. Tibet is generally, we can see, the part of China. Some parts of the has to be occupied by the China. So Xinjiang and Tibet of China. So as we can see it here in the map, here's the part of Tibet and here China. Western sector and here's the part of Aksai Chin. So as we can see here, Jammu and Kashmir area, that part is occupied by the China, and as we know in the map, this part is somehow is Indian government claiming its own. So two countries are disputed land, and here is the part of Siachen Glacier. So as we know that part is too much vulnerable in terms of the armies and in terms of the two countries security is concerned. And central sector is here, we can see 544 kilometer, and the border of Nepal is also touching here, as we can see in the map. As we know that the maximum border areas just a second guys. Maximum border area with Bangladesh. So if the questions is like maximum border area which इंडिया का जो बॉर्डिंग शेयर है वो किस कंट्री के साथ सबसे ज़्यादा है, तो आंसर would be Bangladesh. And McMahon line, as we know that McMahon line is a boundary line that demarcated from India to China. So McMahon line is demarcated from India to China. So this is what you need to understand through the map, that what kind of questions is used to ask in your exam. Originally, McMahon was India and Tibet border is known to be a McMahon line, India and Tibet border, but now we can consider as the border of China, because Tibet's part is occupied by the China itself. So maximum border with the India shared maximum border with which of the countries, the answer would be here Bangladesh. So that kind of questions you need to keep an eye. So here is the, as we can see, is here Galwan Valley, hot spring PB15, that is located in 16,700 feet height, and is the Karakoram Pass. Here is the Galwan Valley. Aksai Chin area, and the India is Ladakh. That part is somehow is a part of China. And Karakoram Pass PPI, and here's the Y junctions. And earlier it was also Chinese army was attacked. So Tibet Jinping Highway G29, Gogora Post, which is a standoff between the seats in the May 2020, north bank of Pangong, so Finger Food. So that part of area is so much vulnerable, because Indian and China's army usually fight over there, because why the armies, the two countries' army is fighting for the particular place, that might be like we can see the importance of the particular place is that too much, like there might be like minerals found over there, that we can see that we can see that might be a petroleum occurred over there. So there are lots of things we need to understand. Here is longest reigning monarch of UK, Elizabeth II, is dead. So Elizabeth is born in 1926, and why we are discussing about, and many of the students is thinking about, sir ये तो उनकी story है Britishers की, which we have ruled over to almost 200 years in India, तो हम क्यों इसे read कर रहे हैं Queen Elizabeth के बारे में. So भाई मेरे, आप सिंपल ये सोचो, कभी इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने मॉर्निंग शो किया था, मॉर्निंग which means that simply we can say स्टेट ऑफ मॉर्निंग का मतलब होता है, इसे हम शोक दिवस कहते हैं. शोक दिवस में क्या होता है, हमारा इंडिया का जो फ्लैग होता है वो झुका रहता है, ठीक है, और किसी भी पर्टिकुलर प्लेसेस पे हम इसे इंटरटेन नहीं कर सकते हैं, विच मीन्स दैट सेलिब्रेशन या कुछ भी हम कंट्री में नहीं कर सकते. तो इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने इसे राष्ट्रीय शोक दिवस के रूप में मनाया था. सो दैट वी हैव टू कीप एन आई कि दैट इज़ द रोल ऑफ, अगर इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने कोई इनिशिएटिव नहीं लेती, ऑब्वियस दैट वी आर नॉट हियर टू डिस्कस अबाउट दैट काइंड ऑफ आर्टिकल्स, राइट. So Queen Elizabeth II, United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, passed away on Thursday. One more thing that I would like to know, I would like to tell you that the England is not a country. First thing, England, Wales, and Scotland, that three can be combined. Then we can see is a United Kingdom, and that United Kingdom capital is London. So England is not a country. So maximum number of students say England is a country. England कोई देश का नाम नहीं है. So Queen Elizabeth II, United Kingdom of the Great Britain and Northern Ireland, passed away on Thursday. As a mark of respect departed dignitaries, the government of India has decided that there will be a one day of state mourning on September 11th throughout India. That statement has to be done by the Ministry of Home Affairs. So one day mourning, which means the national flag will be flown at the half mast throughout India on all buildings where the national flag is flown regularly, and there will be no official entertainment on the day. A press release by the Home Union of Home Ministry. The two things that is to be decided by the MHA, which is Ministry of Home Affairs. So we have to understand that the national, that we can say, the government have decided, India has decided that state mourning. So state mourning, which means we need to understand that what we done in the state mourning, and we need to keep an eye. We need to understand like what is the role of Elizabeth and what she has done. What was the legacy like behind Queen Elizabeth II? So further moving in this article, Queen Elizabeth II, Britain's longest reigning monarch, died after 70 years at the throne of age of 96. After the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, the reign was passed on the eldest son Charles Cromwell, Prince of Wales. He will henceforth addressing as a King Charles III and will be conferred with all the powers of late Queen, held as a state and British constitutional monarchy. We have to understand like what is constitutional monarchy. So later on we will discuss in this session also what does it mean, the word constitutional monarchy. But before that we need to understand like what is the Queen, who was Queen Elizabeth, what is the role of that. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, officially Elizabeth II, was born on 21st April 1926, London, England. Elizabeth was elder daughter of Prince Albert, Duke of York. 1947, Prince Elizabeth married to Prince Philip. So this is what I have underlined this, so we need to look it very carefully. Elizabeth married to Prince Philip at London Westminster Abbey. The first child, Prince Charles, was born in 1948. Daughter Anne arrived in 1950, followed by Andrew in 1960 and Edward in 1964. She was crowned at Westminster Abbey on June 2nd, 1953, in front of 8,500 assembled guests. Additional fact: Queen Elizabeth II is the world's longest serving monarch. So this is need to keep an eye. World longest serving monarch, whose reign of almost 7 decades of the oldest and longest reigning monarch in British history. In September 2015, she surpassed her great-great-grandmother Queen Victoria, who reigned for 63 years and 7 months. 2016, Elizabeth also became the longest reigning monarch in the world with the death of King Bhumibol Adulyadej of Thailand. 2022, she became the second longest reigning monarch in the world history, behind 17th century French King Louis XVI. And that French Louis King XVI, as we know that in French Revolution which occurred in 1789, and fight for the 3 words, that is liberty, equality and fraternity. Liberty, equality and fraternity. And that liberty, equality and fraternity that we discussed in the French Revolution, that somehow is to be 2 words is enshrined in our preamble. So French King Louis XVI has been publicly assassinated in France, who took the throne at the age of 4. So what is constitutional monarchy? Constitutional monarchy is a system of government in which a monarch shares power with a constitutionally organized government. Make sure we have to look it, understand, because many countries has to be decided to state mourning. So constitutional monarchy is a system of government in which a monarch shares power of constitutionally organized government. जो monarch होता है हमारा, वो एक power को share करता है, because as you know, the India have a quasi-federal structure. Quasi-federal structure. What does it mean? The quasi-federal structure is that quasi-federal, which means that the maximum power is tilting toward the center. Maximum power is tilting toward the center. That is known to be a quasi-federal structure. A monarch shares power with the constitutional organized government. The monarch may be de facto head of the state, a purely ceremonial leader. So what are the roles of the power of British Army? The British monarchy is a constitutional monarchy because, being the sovereign head of the state, the ability to make a pass legislation resides with the elected parliament. It is not nominated parliament, elected parliament. British monarch reign but does not rule. We can say this is, you need to keep in mind. British monarch reign but does not rule. Other constitutional monarchy include Belgium, Cambodia, Jordan, Netherlands, Norway, Spain, Sweden, and Thailand. The monarch power of the role of the modern day Britain is now largely ceremonial. The monarch has to be remain strictly neutral with respect to the political matters. Rules: what is the rules of appointment of prime minister, opening of the parliament, and we can say ascending legislation, his or her royal assent of the bill passed to the House of the Lords, because in India there is two types of house, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, which is known to be a upper house and lower house, and that house to be known to be a House of Lords, and head of Commonwealth of Nation. So this is the role of Queen constitutional monarchy in the country. Further moving here, India ranks 132 in Human Development Index as the score drops. India ranks 132 of 191 countries in the Human Development Index that is to be released by UNDP, United Nations Development Program. The drop is in line with the global trend since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, during which 90% of the countries have fallen backward in human development. So the index is a part of Human Development Report 2021-2022 released by the United Nations Development Program. On the HDI measures average achievement of a country on the three basic dimensions of the human development: a long and healthy life. So the three dimension of UNDP HDI three dimension, as we can say: a long and healthy life, a long and healthy life, a long and healthy life. Second, education and decent standard of living, and life expectancy. So as we can see it here, the tracking global decline, India rankings 2021 132, 2021 this one, and like if we top countries is Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, Hong Kong, Australia is top ranking. Bottom is South Sudan, Chad, Niger, Car, and Burundi. Where neighboring countries stand, Sri Lanka is 73, China 79, Bhutan 127, Bangladesh 129, Nepal 143, and Pakistan 161. So like 4 indicators considered. So life expectancy at birth, expected year of schooling, mean year of schooling, and GNI. So gross national income. So what exactly this is? The Human Development Index is measured by the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, and a life expectancy index. That are the major tools that they count to measure the Human Development Index in a country. So life expectancy index, like expectancy at birth, long and healthy life, education index, mean year of schooling, expected years of schooling. Here is knowledge, GNI index, GNI per capita PPP, not in the basis of GDP. So as the students who are preparing for the exam, they need to keep an eye the difference of GDP and GNP and GNI, a decent standard of living. So decent standard of living. So there are many parameters through which the UNDP check it out, the whether the country is progressing or not, right? So as we can see, the component of Human Development Index is here. Here is health, education, living standard, and the parameters is 3 dimension and 4 indicators. So how we need to learn? So simple, we can say Leh Ladakh, as you know about Leh Ladakh, yes, LEH. So L stand for living standard, E stand for education, and H stand for health. So keep in mind the 3 dimension is Leh. Leh Ladakh, you can easily recall LEH, LEH. So living standard, education, health. 4 indicators is here. The first is gross national income per capita, expected year of schooling, mean year of schooling, and life expectancy at birth. So there are 4 indicators and 3 dimension, so that here's a spelling mistake of dimension. So in the place of T it should be here S. This is a kind of typos. Please consider this as a dimension. In the place of T it should be S. So there is a component of Human Development Index. So here again NCRB, as we have already discussed in this newspaper article, that so we can see it here, like NCRB report, Nagaland tops in extortion, Assam in sedition cases. Sedition, as we told you, that UAPA Act and all, what is the role of the government, UAPA, like earlier it was we can say POTA, then we can say TADA, whereas the actor Sanjay Dutt was arrested earlier. So NCRB data is why it is important. We have to initially keep an eye what is the role of NCRB, what kind of data is released by the NCRT, and what is the sedition role and UAPA. So further moving, we can say NCRB headquarters is in New Delhi, set up in 1986 under the Ministry of Home Affairs, function as a repository of information on crime and criminals, so as the assist to investigation liking crime to the perpetrators. It was set up based on recommendation of National Police Commission 1977 to 1981, the MHA Task Force 1985. What is the function of MHA? The Bureau has been entrusted to maintain national database of sexual offenders (NDSO) and share with the states UT on regular basis. So main role of NCRB, headquarters is in New Delhi, set up in 1986. The same year new education policy was done, NEP, which is not to be a new education policy. So new education policy was updated on 1986 itself. So that kind of data you need to link. So UT on regular basis. Major publications is Crime in India, Accidental Deaths in Suicides, Prison Statistics, and Reports on Missing Women and Children in India. There are 4 kind of reports that has to be produced by the National Crime Record Bureau. Next is UAPA law. As we know in this data, so UAPA, PMLA section 130, what is the common link? Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, UAPA, Prevention of Money Laundering at PMLA, and section 153 of the Indian Penal Code. Between different groups of the religion, race, place of birth, residents have a common link. In recent days, cases filed under 3 laws and sections are rising. As we know that the UAPA law is the we can say draconian law that has to be government as implementing in such many parts of the country. So as we know, maximum cases is in UP, 94% are under trials in prison. Manipur, Jammu and Kashmir, Tamil Nadu, Jharkhand, Assam, Bihar, Punjab, Chhattisgarh, there are many areas, no need to keep an eye on that. But we have to understand what exactly is UAPA. UAPA, which means that Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. And PMLA, which means Prevention of Money Laundering Act. That kind of, because as we know that ASFCA, ASPA is already asked in the CLAT exam. So that kind of act we need to keep in mind. Originally enacted in 1967, UAPA was amended to be modeled as an anti-terror law in 2004 and 2008. In August 2019, Parliament cleared the Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2019 in order to deal with the terrorism. So simply we can say the UAPA law जो हमारा है वो हमारा टेररिज्म को कम करने के लिए है, आतंकवाद को बढ़ावा नहीं मिले उसके लिए है. So order to deal with the terrorism related crimes, it deviates from ordinary legal procedures and creates an exceptional regime where constitutional safeguard of the accused are curtailed. So in short we can say that UAPA law is draconian, and one more thing, that government can arrest to anyone without a trial. This is similar to, we can say, in the history we have studied, the Rowlatt Act was passed at the time of Jallianwala Bagh massacre in Amritsar, Punjab. So this is quite similar of UAPA at the present scenario. Many of the objections had to be done by the Supreme Court judges, that it has to be curtailed by the certain number of crimes, but there is no such kind of implementation has been done till now. The frequent application of UAPA indicates that the often misused and abused like other anti-terror law in the past in India, that is POTA, Prevention of Terrorism Act, TADA, Terrorist and Disruptive Activities Prevention Act. As you know that टाडा से जो हमारे संजय दत्त को अरेस्ट किया गया था जब वो जेल में थे, तो टाडा लॉ उनके ऊपर लगाया था. नाउ इट हैज़ बीन टोटली abolished, हमारे पास अब UAPA है. बिटवीन 2016 से 19 के बीच में यूएपीए का फिगर डेटा में ये बताता है, दैट इज नेशनल क्राइम रिकॉर्ड ब्यूरो का, कि 4231 एफआईआर किए गए और इसके बाद बहुत सारे सेक्शंस लगा के 112 केसेस को कन्विक्शन किया गया। ये इतना ड्रैकोनियन कैसे है? बिकॉज अगर आपको यूएपीए में आपको अरेस्ट किया जाता है कि आपके पास बेल करने की अथॉरिटी नहीं होती है, ट्रायल्स पे आप रहेंगे, उसमें बेल आपको नहीं मिलेगी। So vague definition of terrorist act. In this UAPA, the definition of terrorist act under the UAPA substantially differ from the definition promoted by United Nations. जो यूनाइटेड नेशन से आपका उन्होंने जो डेफिनेशन दे रखी है टेररिज्म का, वो डेफिनेशन बिल्कुल डिफरेंट है इसमें, ठीक है। डिनाइल ऑफ बेल का मतलब होता है यूएपीए, इसमें ये क्या डिनाई करता है, एज पर द सेक्शन 43D which prevents the release of any accused person on bail if police have filed a charge sheet that there is a reasonable grounds of believing that accusation against such person in prima facie true. Prima facie which means initially. So इसमें आपको bail is a safeguard and guarantee of the, as we know that the जो bail है हमारा is a safeguard and guarantee of the constitutional right to liberty which is enshrined in our constitution. That is a violation of right to liberty of any person. Now SC wants to job policy of transgenders in 3 months. So SC जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजमेंट्स होते हैं उसको आपको अच्छे से देखनी है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट इज वाज ट्राइंग टू से सुप्रीम कोर्ट वांट्स जॉब पॉलिसी फॉर ट्रांसजेंडर इन 3 मंथ्स। एज वी नो दैट ट्रांसजेंडर हमारे पास SHO भी हैं, ट्रांसजेंडर हमारे पास पुलिस में भी है। तो गवर्नमेंट वांटेड टू प्रमोट ट्रांसजेंडर। क्यों प्रमोट करना चाहती है? बिकॉज ऑफ द मेनी रीजन। बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट तो 2019 में पास किया था Transgender Person Protection of Rights Act 2019 for empowerment and overall well-being of the transgender community. They still continue to face challenges in their daily walks of life. And what kind of problem they are facing? Social stigma. Social stigma, which means the people start bullying to him. भाई ये तो पंजाबी है, भाई ये तो गुजराती है, भाई ये तो मारवाड़ी है, भाई ये तो यूपी वाला है, भाई ये तो बिहारी है। Such kind of social stigma they are facing it. ठीक है। तो ये स्टिग्मा को ख़त्म करने के लिए गवर्नमेंट ने ये इनिशिएटिव लिया हमारा। और उसके बाद देखेंगे इसमें इनको बहुत सारे जो अभी तक इन्हें सोसाइटी में रिस्पेक्ट नहीं मिलती, बहुत सारे रीज़न है इसके पीछे कि ट्रांसजेंडर को हम उस वे में देखते हैं कि यार इनके मतलब इनके पास एक जेंडर किसी इंसान के पर्सनालिटी को डिफाइन नहीं कर सकता, पहली चीज़। तो आप इन चीज़ों को समझें कि आपके इसके ऊपर गवर्नमेंट ने क्या इम्प्लीमेंटेशन लिया, क्या क्यों ऐसा किया? बिकॉज ऑफ ऑस्ट्रिया सिचुएशन दैट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, दे फेस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन इन एम्प्लॉयमेंट में उनको डिस्क्रिमिनेशन फेस करनी पड़ती है। एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन में अगर वो कहीं जाते हैं उनको वहाँ पे डिस्क्रिमिनेशन फेस करनी होती है विद इन फैमिलीज एंड सीवियरली अफेक्ट द ओवरऑल वेलबींग। सो दिस इज इंश्राइंड इन आर्टिकल 15। आर्टिकल 15 व्हाट इज सेज दैट state cannot discriminate in the basis of race, caste, gender and behalf of their status. आर्टिकल 15 इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द सेम थिंग कि कोई भी स्टेट, आर्टिकल 15 मेंशन हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अंदर, कोई भी स्टेट किसी भी व्यक्ति के ऊपर, उसके रेस के ऊपर, उसके कास्ट के ऊपर, उसके जेंडर के ऊपर, उसके स्टेटस के ऊपर आप किसी भी इंस्टीट्यूशन में उसके साथ आप डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं कर सकते। एंड आर्टिकल 17 से द समहाउ द सेम थिंग इन टॉकिंग अबाउट द अनटचेबिलिटी व्हिच इज नॉन टू बी एज अ दलित एंड ऑल, जिससे हम इंडियन सोसाइटी में बहुत ज़्यादा उससे हम द्वंद्व झेलना पड़ता है, वी कैन से। So that they face discrimination in employment and social stigma, as I told you, they often face difficulty in property, inheritance, in child adoption. Because of being socially ostracized, they are compelled to take up menial jobs despite good qualification of forced into sex workers. और सेक्स वर्कर्स में क्यों जाते हैं? क्योंकि बाकी प्लेसेस उनको रिस्पेक्ट मिलती ही नहीं है। तो गवर्नमेंट इसको चाहती है कि एक इंसान चाहे, बिकॉज ट्रांसजेंडर इज अ पार्ट ऑफ आवर कम्युनिटी, सो गवर्नमेंट वांटेड टू द वेलफेयर एंड वेलबींग ऑफ द पीपल। अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट बहुत ज़्यादा है, डिस्क्रिमिनेशन जब झेलनी पड़ती है तो दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू बी वर्क। और आप मैंने यहाँ पे लिखे हैं यहाँ पे काइंड ऑफ अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट में आप देखा होगा कि पीपल आर ट्राइंग टू बिलिंग, हम दलित तो ऐसे ही होते हैं, ये गुजराती ऐसे ही होते हैं, यूपी वाले ऐसे ही होते हैं, एमपी वाले ऐसे ही होते हैं, दैट काइंड ऑफ प्रॉब्लम दैट दे आर फेसिंग। सो इनिशिएटिव क्या लिया था उन्होंने? प्रोटेक्शन बिल निकाला था 2019 में। नेशनल पोर्टल फॉर ट्रांसजेंडर पर्सन को, इट इज अ पोर्टल बाय मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सोशल जस्टिस एंड एम्पावरमेंट विच असिस्ट पर्सन टू अ ट्रांसजेंडर कम्युनिटी इन अप्लाइंग फॉर सर्टिफिकेट एंड आइडेंटिटी कार्ड डिजिटली फ्रॉम एनीवेयर इन द कंट्री। तो ये गवर्नमेंट ने इनिशिएटिव लिया। उसके लिए एक आपको ये याद रखना होगा, गरिमा गृह। गरिमा का मतलब होता है इज अ काइंड ऑफ प्लॉट, गृह मतलब घर। तो गरिमा गृह जो है हमारा इसको याद रखें, गरिमा गृह। ये स्कीम निकाला गवर्नमेंट ने, एम्स टू प्रोवाइड शेल्टर टू ट्रांसजेंडर पर्सन, क्योंकि आसपास आप उन्हें हम रहने नहीं देते हैं। तो एंड बिकॉज ऑफ द विद बेसिक एम्यूनिटीज, एम्यूनिटीज मतलब फैसिलिटीज नहीं मिलती उनको, लाइक शेल्टर, फूड, मेडिकल केयर एंड रिक्रिएशनल फैसिलिटीज. Besides, it will provide support for the capacity building, skill development of persons in the community, which will enable them to lead a life of dignity and respect. So, Garima Greh, we need to keep an eye on that. Here, Odisha government cancels shrine culture release inside Bhitarkanika. So, the tiger prawn is there. Tiger prawn. टाइगर प्रॉन का मतलब जिसे समवेयर, अगर मैं इसे हिंदी के हिसाब से देखूँ, झींगा, झेंगा भी इसे यूज़ करते हैं। अगर आप इसकी विकीपीडिया सोर्स को देखें तो इसका आपको दो नाम लिखे होंगे यहाँ पे, कि पॉपुलरली नॉन एज इन इंडिया इज अ झेंगा एंड झींगा। सो कई बार आपको एग्जाम में इसको हिंदी में आपसे पूछते हैं कि झेंगा क्या है, GHANGA, तो इसकी क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है। सो इंडिया एक्सपोर्ट करता है फ्रोजन श्रिम्प वर्थ ऑलमोस्ट $5 बिलियन इन 2019-20। US एंड चाइना इज द बिगेस्ट, बहुत बड़ा बायर है, क्योंकि चाइना के लोग जो एक्वेटिक एनिमल्स होते हैं, स्पेशली फॉर द प्रॉन, वो ज़्यादा यूज़ करते हैं। फ्रोजन श्रिम्प इन इंडिया लार्जेस्ट एक्सपोर्ट सी फूड, और बहुत सारे सी फूड में आप देखेंगे इनका लार्जेस्ट एक्सपोर्ट करता है इंडिया। 50.58 पॉइंट क्वान्टिटी एंड 73.2 टर्म्स ऑफ टोटल USD अर्निंग होती है इससे इंडिया की। जो ऑब्वियस सी बात है कि जो हमारा टाइगर प्रॉन है यहाँ पे, जो आपका कोस्टल प्लेन एरिया है, कोस्टल प्लेन एरिया, वहाँ पे ज़्यादा इसकी अवेलेबिलिटी होती है, लाइक आंध्र प्रदेश, वेस्ट बंगाल, ओडिशा, गुजरात, तमिलनाडु एंड इंडिया मोस्ट श्रिम्प प्रोड्यूशन स्टेट। अराउंड 95% ये इंडिया का श्रिम्प प्रोड्यूस करता है, एक्सपोर्ट करता है। तो इससे हमारी इंडिया की इकॉनमी अच्छी होती है। कि आपने देखा होगा साउदर्न पार्ट में मोस्टली लोगों का मेन लाइवलीहुड जो है वो फिशरमैन होते हैं। फिशरमैन होते हैं कि उनके पास क्या है, ओशंस होती हैं, रिवर होते हैं, जहाँ पे ये काम आप देखेंगे कि जो कोस्टल प्लेन्स नहीं है वहाँ पे लोग नहीं कर सकते इसे। Here is the time for questions of the day. I hope that you guys are ready now. Here, the first questions, as we know that the Rajpath was name changed to the Kartavya Path, और वहाँ पे उन्होंने अनवील किया सुभाष चंद्र बोस की स्टैच्यू को। तो we have to keep an eye सुभाष चंद्र बोस का क्या रोल था। So there are 3 statements is there. Statement first, he was twice elected president of Indian National Congress. He was highly influenced by the Vivekananda teachings. His political mentor was चित्तरंजन दास, और इनके नाम पे ही आपने देखा होगा दिल्ली में प्लेस है CR पार्क। CR पार्क इनके नाम पे है, चित्तरंजन दास के नाम के ऊपर ही है CR पार्क, which is the neighborhood of ग्रेटर कैलाश। तो CR पार्क चित्तरंजन पार्क है। सो इसमें कौन सा स्टेटमेंट सही है? ऑब्वियस, दे आर ऑल 3 स्टेटमेंट आर करेक्ट। तो आपका डी स्टेटमेंट, सुभाष चंद्र बोस was born on 23rd January 1897 कटक ओडिशा में, और दैट टाइम ओडिशा वाज अ पार्ट ऑफ बिहार, बंगाल, झारखंड, और आप देखेंगे यहाँ पे बिहार, बंगाल, झारखंड एंड ओडिशा इटसेल्फ। तो 4 स्टेट को मिला के, पहले बंगाल का जो हिस्सा था हमारा ओडिशा का ही पार्ट थी ये, और 1936 में बिहार को उससे अलग किया गया था। तो ओडिशा डिवीजन, बंगाल प्रोविंस। हिज जयंती सेलिब्रेटेड एज पराक्रम दिवस, ये याद है, पराक्रम दिवस को मनाते हैं कब? 23rd Jan, जिस डेट को ये पैदा हुए थे। सुभाष चंद्र बोस was the twice elected president of Indian National Congress 1934, हरिपुर एंड तिरुपुरी को मैं 2 बार उन्होंने INC को प्रिसाइड किया था। He resigned from Congress presidentialship in 1939 में, ऑर्गेनाइज किया था ऑल इंडिया फॉरवर्ड ब्लॉक फ्रैक्शन कांग्रेस इन बंगाल। 1919 में उन्होंने उन्होंने इंडियन सिविल सर्विस, जो आज के टाइम में UPSC है, he was the only freedom fighter of our country who cracked UPSC, which means Indian Civil Services exam. बोस however resigned, उन्होंने बाद में रिजाइन कर दिया था। ये बात करके मैं अंग्रेजों की गुलामी नहीं कर सकता। He was highly influenced by Vivekananda teachings and considered him as a spiritual guru, and his political mentor was Chittaranjan Das. Similarly, like we can say, महात्मा गांधी के जो political guru कौन थे? गोपाल कृष्ण गोखले। गोपाल कृष्ण गोखले was the political guru of महात्मा गांधी। सेकेंड वन अभी जब जस्ट हमने डिस्कस किया, ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स HDI कौन रिलीज करता है? सो इजी इज UNDP, like United Nations Development Program. So there are 3 dimensions: long and healthy life, knowledge and decent living of standard, education index, life expectancy index, ये हमारा ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स है हमारा, और it is released by the United Nations Development Program UNDP. And the last question is here now. 103 Constitutional Amendment Act, sometimes seen in news related to 10% reservation of economically weaker section, constitutional status of National Commission for Backward Classes NCBC, extended reservation of scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and Lok Sabha legislative bodies, abolition of legislative council in certain states. Take your time and try to solve this. We have discussed this in the YouTube session in 3 days back. सो आंसर वुड बी ए. 10% EWS कोटा को हमने इम्प्लीमेंट किया था. इट्स इंट्रोड्यूस अंडर 103rd कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट एक्ट 2019 by amending आर्टिकल 15 and 16. इसमें हमने कहाँ इंसर्ट किया? आर्टिकल 15 क्लॉज 6, आर्टिकल 16 क्लॉज 6. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the YouTube session, and if you seems to be that this is information is very useful to everyone, please like, comment and subscribe. If you have any questions you would like to ask, please let me know in our comment section. Our team is helping you out as soon as possible. I hope you enjoyed the YouTube session. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time at 11:30. Stay tuned. Bye bye and take care. अपना ख्याल रखें और सुरक्षित रहें. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.